We do have a few minutes for questions if people have some. I just want to highlight a couple things that I heard that made me happy. Over the last couple years, because of congressional hearings, I showed up in front of Congress shooting my mouth off over and over again about what's the deal with these gas transmission companies. They only are doing integrity management inspections on 6 or 7% of their pipelines, which wasn't exactly accurate, but I was trying to sell a point. I was very surprised at one of those congressional hearings when the INGA member there raised his hand and said, we agree with the Pipeline Safety Trust. We need to be doing integrity management on all of our pipeline miles, and they've committed to that. And you heard Pete talk about that a little bit. One of the other issues, and I see people sitting right in front of me that are living it, is the gathering lines and how many of those are unregulated. And you heard Pete say that his company is committed to going above and beyond what the regulations are talking about. These folks here from industry today have the ability to do whatever they want on their pipelines and to go above the minimum standards, which you're going to hear about from the regulators next. Those are minimum floor standards. Companies can choose to do more, and a lot of the companies are, as you've just heard. Questions from anybody out there? In the back, I see one. Glenn, if you want to run back there, it looks like Michael Holmstrom from California. And I've got a microphone up here. If anybody wants to give me the little hand nod, I will.
Yeah. For Craig Pearson, you had mentioned something about maps with your pipeline outlined on them being handed out to those living on pipelines. That's interesting because I knew of another pipeline that tried something like this 30 years ago, and then that program just kind of disappeared for some reason. How's the reception on this program going?
Well, I don't know. What we provided was county-level maps with some pipeline details, and that's more than what we had been providing. I don't know that we got a huge response back. I think our normal response is 2 or 3%, and I think we doubled it to like 5%. So it's a little bit difficult to tell how it was received, but directionally, we're trying to figure out how we can provide more detail to our residents. Let them know what the pipe is and its condition and things like that. And it's problematic figuring out how to do it, but directionally, we know that there's a thirst to know more, and we're trying to figure out how to meet it.
Right, and we're going to be having a session in here tomorrow morning talking about GIS and pipeline maps, and I know Marathon has those county maps on their website. People can find them. There's a number of other companies. Spectra Energy provides a map viewer on their website, and we're going to hear from Enterprise tomorrow, who has a map viewer on their website, which really seems to have pushed public awareness. So be here for that discussion tomorrow. Other questions? I'm going to jump down here in front.
Maybe, yeah. My question is for you, Mr. Pearson, with regard to hazardous liquid pipelines or
Yes.
liquid pipelines and bodies of water. I do live on a creek that there was an oil spill, a hazardous spill, and the pipeline was miles away from my home, yet made its way to my home and therefore affected myself and my family. I'm curious about your shutoff valves and how far apart your shutoff valves are, or if there's a specific mandate, and how you are dealing with bodies of water. Maybe this is not just to you, but to the rest of you, bodies of water and your pipelines.
Our shutoff valves are at various distances on different pipelines. It could be anywhere from 10 miles to 20 miles or sometimes more than that. And it is an interesting issue that we're working through. What is the right, where are you going to have your spill? What is the right distance? And it is very problematic. It seems simple that you have a release, you shut your valves, but we've got some pipelines that there's so much momentum, and this is a difference with liquids pipelines. You get so much momentum. If you shut valves quickly, you can rupture the pipeline. And we're trying to figure out what is the right combination. Difficult challenge. We do modeling on our pipelines to know which, if we have a spill, what all the impacted waterways. That's simple. getting the valve spacing and having it add value is a difficult challenge, and one that we're working on. I don't know that we've got it right, but we're studying the heck out of it, trying to figure out what is best. It's a really complex issue.
Any more? Right in front of you there, Rob.
Susan Connolly from Marshall, Michigan. This is for the gentleman from CenterPoint Energy. You had mentioned about shutting off lines or closing lines, shutting them down. Does that have any economic impact on a consumer? You hear how they're closing refineries and the prices are going up because of that. Is it more of an economic value, or I just was curious about that?
You're talking about our pipeline abandonments, correct? Okay. Those actually have to go through an approval process through the FERC, the FERC basically through DC, and customers get a chance to comment on that, and to, and FERC comes to a decision as to whether it's approved or not. But the bottom line is it doesn't impact a customer or consumer, because we're finding other means to serve them, whether we replace portions of the pipe, sometimes we convert them to an alternate fuel source, buy capacity on an existing pipeline that may be there, or use the flexibility we have with our system. So there is no impact. And actually, when we abandon pipe, it takes value out of the asset base. So when we go in for a rate case, there's less dollars that would need to earn investment. Okay.
One or two more. I saw over here, I thought Glenn was coming this direction, but there we go.
Right here.
Right over here, Glenn. Glenn.
James Davenport from National Association of Counties. My question is along the same lines about the abandoned pipelines. What do you do with them after you shut them down?
In a lot of cases, they're left in place, and in some cases, they're removed. It partly depends upon FERC direction and landowner wishes. So we try and work with landowners and do what we need to do there.
Thank you.
You have another one over there, Glenn?
Hi, Chris Wilson, pipeline consultant from Austin, Texas. I'll let the panel decide who will answer this question. When a pipeline is repurposed and reversed, can one of you please explain what type of regulatory review and environmental assessment that project goes through? Thank you.
Well, let me answer that one. No.
I think we're struggling as far as trying to figure out who may best be able to answer that question, because none of us personally have been involved in that. But if it's a interstate pipeline, it'll be governed. It'll go through the FERC process, and the FERC, as you know, has a very not restrictive, but a very thorough environmental review that it goes through, whether we're converting from gas to liquids or liquids back to gas. So those types of processes are worked out. And of course, when you convert it, you want to be sure that the conversion that's done, that it's done the right way, that the integrity management of the pipeline, depending upon the new type of service, is done the right way. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Yeah, our experience is more on conversion than it is reversal, and so I can speaking to that. There we were part of a venture converting a gas line to refined product service, and we worked closely with PHMSA, figuring out where the right place to put valves and check valves, and they were very involved in our procedures, and we did a lot of integrity work. Because we had to take into account the history of the gas pipeline and putting it into liquid service. It is technically very different, and the pipe gets stressed in different ways. And we worked through that and developed an integrity management program that was friendly to the differences in the flow. So they haven't reversed any, but have changed service.
One last one.
Question is for Pete. I live in a non-jurisdictional Class 1 area where our gathering lines are not regulated, and I don't live in your coverage area. I'll be clear on that. We are having a lot of gathering lines. I'm in Marcellus Shale, Pennsylvania, and I'm just wondering, on your non-jurisdictional lines, did you say that you were doing a thicker wall, or you're not?
Oh, well, first off, they're designed per DOT, so that unto itself has safety factors built into it, but oftentimes we do put in what we call a corrosion allowance. It's basically thicker pipe. It depends upon the type of service that the pipeline will be in, but we often do, yes.
Okay, and you said that pretty much no one lives in those areas where you are, but I know from meetings I've been at in my state, those comments have been made that no one lives there, and there's quite a few of us living along these pipelines that are being constructed. And, you know, it makes me wonder a little bit. The county north of me has about 1,200 square miles and about 1,000 miles of gathering lines that are proposed, already operating, or being built right now. And that's a lot of pipe.
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to make sure I understood your question, or if you just want me to comment on your statement.
I'm just concerned about when you state that it's rural and pretty much no one lives there. Are you the people that are there? I mean, there must be some people there. Are there homes within the potential impact radius? Do you take an extra caution to do that spacing, or?
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. For our interstate pipelines, we actually looked and counted how many, basically estimate the population within the potential impact radius. Okay, we haven't done that for their gathering lines, and we counted 73,000 people for the transmission pipe. For the gathering lines, again, it's based upon whether it's jurisdiction or not, whether it's Class 2 or above, effectively, or transmission pipe. And so we actually have very little Class 2 or Class 3 in our particular area, in our gathering world. But even if it's Class 1 location where, for our field services area, okay, there could be people living by there. And every one of those people is important to us too. And that's why for us, we're designing, we're building, and we're operating well above where we need to be doing, because it's about people, and we need to be sure we're protecting the public. Sure.
All right, we're going to take about a 10 to 15 minute break. Let's try to be back about 20 after. And next year, I think we need to have the gathering folks represented up here too. Thank you. Be back in about 10 minutes.